First to Ethiopia, a nation taking tentative steps towards peace after the government and forces in the northern Tigray region agreed to a permanent cessation of hostilities on Wednesday. Now, the deal could end the 2-year civil war. In fact, today was the start of the war 2 years ago. And the war is seen as one of the world's bloodiest conflicts and appears to be a decisive victory for Ethiopia's government and its Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, the deal that is. And it could in turn be hard for leaders of the Tigray region to sell to their people. Well, I spoke earlier to Ethiopian Ambassador Gebrekirstos, who's a permanent representative to the UN office in Geneva.
The government of Ethiopia welcomes the signing of a peace agreement as it silences guns and brings to an end the 2 years of conflict in the northern Ethiopia. We welcome it because it reiterates respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ethiopia. The agreement also upholds the constitution of the country, and it reaffirmed that Ethiopia has only one national defense force.
So that is the permanent representative to the UN office in Geneva for Ethiopia welcoming the agreement. Is it welcomed by people in Tigray? Well, joining us now is Gebrekirstos Gebreselassie, who has a large, close family in Tigray and lives in the Netherlands, where he's the editor of the Tigrayan website, Tghat.com, and he says is a platform for Tigrayan voices and testimonies. Morning to you, Gebrekirstos. Thank you very much for joining us. Do you welcome this agreement that was signed on Wednesday? Do you see it as a positive step?
Overall, I think it's good that there is a publicly stated commitment for stopping the war and giving the people some relief. Let me just say that this agreement feels completely unfair, like demanding only concessions from the Tigrayans. So really, I think among Tigrayans, there is some kind of disillusion and also resentment, if I could say, on the basis of what I read on social media and with my contacts.
Is that because you feel that all the concessions, that it's more that the TPLF is giving in more in this agreement in terms of sovereignty, in terms of the demobilization of the forces, and you feel that this war was for nothing, or what exactly?
Yeah, I think what we feel about this is that, what shouldn't have been negotiated on the negotiation table, like humanitarian aid, restoration of services, blockade, these have been used as a leverage against Tigray. And so Tigray was put in a position that, if it continues the war, the people will perish. They will continue to perish as they are now, as we speak. And so it's not. I find it hard to blame the choice of the Tigrayan leaders, because I think what is at stake is the entire Tigrayan population. What I am angry at is, the forces like the United States that have allowed, the use of starvation, blockade, genocide as a leverage, as a legitimate tool of war, and they have rewarded the genociders with this agreement that they were behind, that they were forcing the Tigrayans only to make concessions. So now in Ethiopia, they are so triumphant, and that is extremely problematic. So the Tigrayan people will not also get justice. That is how they feel.
When you talk about, if I may ask you, when you talk about justice, because this is something that's also been mentioned by others looking from outside Ethiopia, who say in terms of monitoring, in terms of assessing who did what and getting some kind of truth and reconciliation, if you like, moving forward, healing, that people doubt that will even be taken into consideration. Do you feel that as well as Tigrayans?
Absolutely. That is what we feel, because now First, as Tigrayans, we don't have any trust on the African Union. Anything that's led by the African Union means really the Ethiopian regime. So it's in Addis. The African Union is in the pocket of the Abiy regime. So really, from now on, we are so worried, about the Tigrayan people. Myself, I'm so worried about what they are gonna do to them, even in time of peace, because these people have seen what they could do, and they have gone scot-free. There's nothing. They have been rewarded, in fact. And so, really, while I want to stay optimistic and say maybe the Tigrayan people, the people that have not been killed yet, already about 10% of the people have been killed. That's a conservative estimate. So, what will they do to the rest of the people, because the world has basically given them the license to commit whatever atrocity, and they are free. They are rewarded. And that is what scares me.
Gebrekirstos Gebreselassie, thank you very much for joining us this morning. He joins us from Netherlands, and he's the editor of the Tigrayan website, Tghat.com.